when I was a kid, I was probably like 6 or 7. We would go for a ride. We would put my sister, who was older, in the back seat, and my dad would put in his like CREED CD, and we would blare Higher by CREED and like headbang to that. And that's what I grew up on, was Higher by CREED.
There's so many things wrong with that comment. I mean, so you don't headbang to CREED.
Oh, stop. All right.
Well, that's what happens when you are the first woman to ever win the championship with the IMSA Challenge.
Yes.
Taylor Hagler here in the Freak Nation. Before we get into all the madness that has been your life over the last several years, let's get to, it's Bull Verde, right? Bull Verde, Texas?
Yes.
All right, let's get that out of the way. I am a lifelong fan and believer that everyone should visit New Braunfels, Texas, and take in Camp Warnicki and the Rapids. Are you a strong believer in Camp Warnicki taking in the Rapids there in Central Texas?
Not really. I'm not a huge fan of like the rapids and the rivers personally. I kind of stay away from rivers for some reason. I'll go to a lake and the ocean, but I'm not really a fan of like the river rapids.
Well, just to share with the Freak Nation, if you're not familiar with New Braunfels, Texas, it's not far from Bull Verde, which is not far from San Antonio, which isn't too far from Austin. Just hold on a second now. Hold on, right? I'm right. Okay. Listen, we don't need to get into the whole madness. Is Bull Verde also a German-infused town like New Braunfels started out as?
Yeah. So Bull Verde is part of like Spring Branch, which was originally owned by the Ocker and the Ecker family, which were 100% German descent.
Oh, you're already done about talking about Bull Verde right now? You want to talk some racing?
She's like, why? Yeah, I did not come on here to talk about Texas towns. But full disclosure, Kenny is born and raised from Carrollton, Texas, right outside of Dallas. And he is very proud of his state. So that's why anytime he sees that somebody else comes from Texas, it's like, woo.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have no issue talking about Bull Verde. Actually, like, fun fact, my brother-in-law's family were one of the original settlers of Spring Branch, Bull Verde, so they used to own pretty much all of it before it got sold off.
See there?
Yeah.
That's badass.
I'm not too far. Now, okay, let's get one thing out of the way, then we'll talk racing. Do you follow the Road Runners? I mean, you're a UTSA graduate, right?
Yes. I was actually just at a UTSA game on Saturday.
Bam! Do you realize that University of Texas San Antonio Road Runners, they are the best football team in Texas?
At the current moment, yeah. They're now ranked ACC. They're only like 10 or 11 years old. They're pretty new.
And that's so hard for Kenny to say as a Longhorn fan.
Oh,
look, wait, what's right behind your head, Kenny?
Oh, you see the Longhorn hooking behind my head there?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we were ranked higher than UT this year, so.
What the hell's going on, man? Holy smokes. Taylor Hagler, your IMSA Challenge Championship. Statman's rubbing his head as he's a Buckeye fan. They continue to demoralize every team they play. Taylor, with you winning this championship, the first woman to do it in the IMSA Challenge, have people recognized the significance of your win in this series? I mean, like national press and maybe former champions in the other classes of sports cars?
I haven't really gotten much. I've talked to Christina a bit, which I met her last year through Ryan because they're good friends. So she did reach out to me a bit this year after the championship. I think we might be putting something together with like San Antonio media. And then I do have like another podcast radio thing that I'm doing on Wednesday. So I've kind of gotten a bit more publicity, but not anything like insane. I haven't had like big heroes or a lot of random people that I may know like reach out to me yet.
Yeah, but Christina Nielsen, that's pretty badass. She's a 2-time IMSA champion herself. And you had mentioned in another interview, I believe I read, that you looked up to her when you were starting to follow racing. So that had to have been pretty badass to just talk to her throughout the season.
Yeah. I watched Christina a lot growing up, like through SRO and now IMSA. And then I watched Catherine Legg also. Those were two big role models for me. So for her to reach out and congratulate and talk a bit, that was really nice.
I mean, I'm sure the answer would be yes, because race car drivers want to drive everything, but would you ever drive a Delta Wing?
yeah, I would drive whatever someone puts me in, with the exception of like an open wheel. I like a roof over my head personally. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So anything on dirt, those open wheel series, or obviously an Indy car or a Formula car of any sort, that's off limits, but you will do anything else?
Yeah, I mean, like I've sat in a Formula car, and I've been talking to another friend of mine who owns a couple, and they want to get me out there just to like do a couple laps, but I'm a bit scared of it, so we won't be like timing anything.
Even with the halos that they have now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like even karting, I don't like karting.
Oh, right.
I won't do karting.
Karting is crazy. I think truly, my opinion, I think karting is the scariest form of auto racing, period.
Yeah, someone can just like run right over you. It's terrifying.
And that last bit of news is from someone named Crash. So when she talks about being scared in a car, pay attention to what she said.
I'm not a race car driver by any stretch of the imagination, but I had a go-karting accident once. It was late 90s with an IndyCar team that I worked with. So yeah, I'm not a fan of karting.
No. So we'll see how I kind of like the Formula cars if I get in one.
Is the walls that in the ovals, but you're saying you don't even want to get in the car, much less race against the walls.
No, I mean, like I'll test one and I'll see kind of how I like it, but I don't know. It's just something about my head being open. I just have this like irrational fear that like if I flip, like I'm gonna die. And I also just not a fan of my legs being in the front of the car. I feel like they'll get chopped off.
Wow.
Yeah,
I have some like
it's
pretty
real.
intense irrational fears.
Wow, that's quite an admission for a race car driver to admit.
Oh yeah, my fears go to the extreme. They're not minimal.
Wow. So have you carried these around with you? You don't like getting in convertibles on the freeway?
No, I'm not a convertible person. That isn't really like a fear. That's just more of I don't believe that sports cars should be convertibles.
All right, that's cool. I used to do the when the challenge was still sponsored by Coney, I would do the races and talk to some of the drivers, and some of those drivers are now in IMSA prototypes and GT cars. Is that where you want to go? Is this like a ladder to begin moving up the sports car world?
I think that's kind of how it always goes. I mean, Hyundai has been really great to me so far this year and will be next year, and same with Brian Herta Autosports. And I mean, we'll kind of see what they come up with and how that goes. But I think always the goal for race car drivers is to kind of get top level. So I would love to do like GTD. I would love to go overseas and do WEC and do all those like really long endurance races in a GT3 car. I think that is like the ultimate goal for majority race car drivers.
How does someone growing up in Central Texas get hooked on racing? You look at your resume and you spent a decade plus saddled up on an equestrian and on your horse. How in the hell do you get in a sports car in Bulverde, Texas?
So my dad grew up in like Alabama, which is fairly close to Atlanta. So like my dad used to go to all the SCCA runoffs that were held there a long time ago, before there was 10A and 10B. So he's kind of watched it since he was younger and was always into sports cars and stuff like that, but was never allowed to race. My mom wouldn't let him. So he kind of just got me into it, and I started watching it throughout the ranks from like NASCAR to what used to be ALMS to F1, IndyCar. I've kind of watched a bit of everything, and I fell in love with what is now IMSA. And I have an older sister, so when she turned 16, as most 16-year-olds do, she drove like a crazy person. And she was like, Dad, I want to be a race car driver. So he like went out and bought her a Skip Barber racing certificate that I don't think her like race car dream lasted very long. It was like a whole like 1 week. So she never used it. So it just sat there until I was in college. And then I finally got out of horses and was like, well, it's just sitting there. It's already paid for. It's free. I might as well try it. And ended up really liking it.
Oh, wow. Well, if your mom was against your dad becoming a race car driver, what does she say about you? You're her pride and joy.
Yeah, like I haven't quite figured that one out yet. I don't think she really thought it was going to be much. I mean, like I just started in club racing. She's like, yeah, this is kind of cool, whatever. And then she was like, oh yeah, you have the option to move up. Yeah, let's move up. You're in a TCA car. It's super slow. And
yeah,
now
right.
she sees like the faster cars, or like if she's at the track and there's a wreck, she's like, we just need to go back to horses. This is too dangerous. We can go back to horses. I'll pay for it. It's fine. And I'm like, no, like I'm already in it now. You're stuck.
Too late, Mom. Too late.
Yep.
You just need to take her.
Be better.
Well,
Not how it turned out.
Take her to Daytona for the 24 hours. She'll be fine. Get
Oh,
her in a
yeah, she was
motorhome
there
with
last
wine. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. My parents, they drive the RV to all my races, so like they stayed for the entire 24-hour and the 12-hour Sebring, the whole 9. They go to all my races in an RV.
That does not suck.
No, they quite enjoy it. It's like their own little like vacations and their own little adventure because it's just the 2 of them, and then I fly because
So
I'm
wait a
not going to
minute.
be stuck in an RV for 3 days before a race.
Your
With
mom,
your parents.
I've done it. It's not pleasant.
your mom is worried about the car, but she can go to Sebring and see all the drunks and the crazies and the party and the wildness, and she didn't have any problem with that at all.
She hasn't seen that because the first time she went to the 12-hour was this year, and it was COVID, so it wasn't like as crazy as it was a couple of years ago. I went a couple of years ago just to spectate, and like we deemed it the zoo. Like, it was insane, but she didn't experience that this year, so she doesn't quite know how crazy Sebring gets yet. She's only experienced like Petite, which is nowhere near the level of Sebring.
Petite is like classy partying. Sebring is like, whoa, no holds barred.
Yeah. Sebring is like spring break. It's during spring break. It gets crazy.
So Taylor Hagler, IMSA Challenge champion, what happens when mom sees the zoo? Does she make a demanding statement about, let's get your ass back on a 3-year-old? I mean, a horse we're talking about?
No, I mean, like, it wasn't too bad this year, so she wasn't too upset with it. I mean, we tend to travel to like Mexico for vacation during the summer, so like it gets pretty crazy there when all the people there are in all-inclusive resorts. So she's kind of used to seeing crazy messes, but it's usually whenever like she sees a big wreck that she's like, no, we're going back to horses now.
And that's when Dad
crazy partying.
That's when Dad needs to pull her back in the motorhome and say, "Hey, honey, let's open up this new bottle of champagne. Yeah. Don't pay attention to the TV right now. Oh, yeah. All's like good."
My mom, Yep. They, after the races, they'll go in the RV and they drink. My dad drinks his Crown. My mom drinks her 2 bottles of wine, and they're set.
Yes, I'm partying with your parents. Yes,
the
kids.
This Crown.
So
we had an experience with some Crown at a golf tournament many years ago where the host of the party would just come up and pour the Crown in your mouth, and you drank it or wore it, and it was raising money for the kids. So I had
for the kids
to that when you mentioned your dad drinking the Crown.
Yeah, that's how my mom gets for like New Year's when she's already a bit drunk. She'll just like walk around and like force people to drink tequila.
My God, I love your mom.
She'll just like pour it. She'll just pour it in your mouth. So she doesn't mind the partying.
We are hooking up with the Hagglers. There's a TV show name, Hooking Up with the Hagglers at Daytona. We must find them.
So your mom's what happens when your mom sees this interview? Is she gonna be angry at her daughter?
No, I think she'll be fine.
Okay, well, I'll ask you this.
She might hit me on Thanksgiving.
Sweet. No. So so I take it she's a happy drunk. What about the old man? I mean, Crown can put you on the roof.
Oh yeah, they're both fairly happy drunks. My dad gets he talks with his hands a lot, which is where I get it from, but he gets like he'll start like swinging his hands, and like my mom pointed out that he like pouts his lips when he's drunk, and he just talks nonstop and just like the full all animations, everything, and he just like won't shut up. It can be like midnight and I'm like, Dad, I'm trying to sleep, and he just keeps talking. It's a constant thing.
If you are one that talks with your hands a lot, how are you in driver meetings? Are you, if the strategy is brought up and you don't like it, are you like, guys, we've got to change it?
Pretty much, yeah. That's about how everything goes. I mean, yeah, he gets a bit crazy.
We'll get back to the video interview in just a moment, but with high gas prices holding steady, it might be time for you to check out Lucas Oil Fuel Treatment and Injector Cleaner. It's a blend of oils and additives that contain no solvents. It increases power and fuel mileage that keeps your engine operating at maximum efficiency. Are you kidding me? It's like a tune-up in a bottle. Just add it to every fill-up of that snappy car of yours. And of course, it's as simple as... You get it. Now, back to the interview. Taylor Hagler, IMSA Challenge Champion here in the Freak Nation. But with you running with Brian Herta Autosport, Motorsport, whatever the hell he's calling it this week. We know Brian,
Autosport.
I understand that. He's a friend of the Freak Nation. He can get pretty animated. And he can also be pretty dry. I would think maybe hand signals would be a good communication with Brian Herta from time to time. True?
Probably not a false statement. Yeah, he can be pretty dry. He's very reserved. But like once you kind of get him going, he can definitely be very animated. So I think maybe you aren't wrong. In those like drier times, hand signals would probably be a little bit more efficient. But when he's animated, he's animated.
So now I have an idea. Brian Herta and your mom on New Year's Eve,
Ooh.
she gets him animated with her tequila shots.
Probably. That's
You
probably
love
what
my
would
daughter.
happen.
You're going to sign my daughter for 10 years. Yes, you are.
How does Brian Herta find Taylor Hagler? Or did one of his scouts find Taylor Hagler and what you were doing early on?
Brian Herta actually found me. I raced IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge last year with another manufacturer. Ended up getting pole at Mid-Ohio and was able to pretty much outrun majority of his guys. And my manager also manages two of his other clients that run with Brian Herta. So Brian kind of had an in that way and just kind of kept hounding my manager until he got me.
Oh, wow.
That's an interesting story. You got to
Yeah.
you got to expand on that a little bit, Taylor. You outran his guys. I would imagine that under your helmet, you were saying, "I'll show you." And just did you knock them off the track at any time? Did you have a chance to?
No, I mean, they all kind of stayed behind me, to be completely honest.
Yes.
The Hyundais last year were so fast that when we got to Mid-Ohio and my car was able to outrun them, I kind of thought that, like, they weren't really trying. I was like, okay, they're just, like, trying to BOP it here. No big deal. But according to Brian, they were going as fast as they could, and they couldn't catch me. And that is when he decided that I needed to be on his team.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's world-class cool. So
That's not too bad.
yeah, I mean, you probably were you smiling the whole time under your helmet saying, "Catch this"?
Oh, no, I was terrified.
Terrified.
I was
Why?
terrified. I was like, I felt like I was under so much pressure. I was like, I basically am running for my life at the current moment. Every time I'm in front of a whole string of cars, I feel like I'm in The Lion King and I'm Simba running from the stampede of wildebeest. And that's about how, so I like feel all this pressure and I'm like, I'm gonna die.
But does that make you a better driver? That kind of
I'm
pressure.
pretty good under pressure. Like I can deal with pressure well. I don't deal with stress well, but if someone puts a lot of pressure on me, I can typically perform.
Okay.
Well, hold on just a second, everybody. Statman, I know he's psychoanalyzing what the hell's going on here. You don't like, well, okay, you have a lot of thought when you have a line of cars behind you. Okay,
Yes.
There's that. You do not like, you have superstitions that I'm sure we could go weeks talking about. That is all the antithesis from what I see of damn good drivers having all that noise going on in their head to keep them from kicking ass. But evidently it works in your favor.
Yeah, I feel like that might have a little bit to do with like the ADHD side of me. So I usually have a lot going on in my head. If my head is quiet, then I can't focus. Just because I've learned how to focus with so much running through my mind that if it's quiet, I'm kind of like, okay, what's going on? I feel like I need to be thinking about things. So it's kind of when my mind is going is when I perform the best. It's kind of like what they say about like golf or bowling. Like if you try too hard, then you just kind of like mess it up. So like I almost partially focus on like other things. If I'm so focused on the track and trying, I usually 9 times out of 10 will make a mistake versus just like following my natural instincts of what I need to be doing.
I had a driver once tell me that he had to go into the pits because he had music in his head. He had a Carpenter song that he couldn't get out of his head. And he had to go into the pits and get out of the car and walk around a little bit till he got it. He could concentrate on what he was doing. Do you ever have to get things out of your head so that you can concentrate on what's happening? Or it sounds like you got the break of a lifetime with your mind crowded with all sorts of stuff.
I'm so used to it that it's like taboo if my mind isn't overflowing with things.
So
it's organized chaos, and,
yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
You ever use music to get your mind going in a single direction? Like, do you listen to Judas Priest or Earth, Wind and Fire or Metallica when you get into the car?
No, I don't tend to listen to music before I get in the car. I don't know if the majority of the people you just named are, except for Metallica. So definitely don't listen to any of those. Usually before I get in the car, I kind of just have to act like it's a normal day. Like I go around talking to people to distract myself from the nerves of racing. Like I always get nervous before I get in the car. And then once like I'm doing the pace laps, I'm fine. I get very calm behind the wheel of the car instead of like a huge adrenaline rush. But when I'm nervous, like I just have to act like it's a normal day. And I just like go around talking to a bunch of people trying to like distract myself from it.
Let me bring this up. Taylor, your IMSA Challenge champion, the first woman to ever win the championship in the IMSA Challenge, joining us here in the Freak Nation Lucas Oil Studios. We've been doing Speed Freaks for 21 years, and I can promise you, in one breath, we've never had Statt, me, Crash mention Earth, Wind and Fire, Judas Priest, the Carpenters, and Metallica.
And she said she only knew Metallica out of everything we
That's
just
the only one I
mentioned.
recognize.
She's 25, Statt. Her parents don't know who the Carpenters are.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, but you gotta know Earth, Wind and Fire, Taylor. Come on. That
No.
music started with Earth, Wind and Fire. You don't know. You don't
Do
know.
you
like
remember?
The furthest back I probably go is like Creed.
Oh,
I know like one Motley Crue song. That's about it.
Creed.
It's about as far back as I go.
Oh,
Wow.
And now the tweets will start from Statman and Kenny Sargent. Hey, Taylor, check out this riff. Hey, Taylor, check this out.
what did your dad listen to? Come on, don't disappoint me, Taylor.
I don't really know what he used to listen to when he was younger, but by the time like me and my sister were born, he was already living in San Antonio, and he kind of just went these like full-on country music route, and that's all he listens to now. So anytime we want to like annoy him, we'll go off and like play some rap or hip hop or really like play Cardi B, and like it'll really get him riled up. So like he really only listens to country, but he used to have like a 77 911 turbo.
Ooh.
And of course, like it's the front seat and then just like the back bucket seats that really aren't even seats, they're just like hollow shells. And me and him, when I was a kid, I was probably like 6 or 7, we would go for a ride. We would put my sister, who was older, in the back seat, and my dad would put in his like Creed CD, and we would blare Higher by Creed and like headbang to that. And that's what I grew up on, was Higher by Creed.
I just want to see a CD player in a 77 Porsche.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It is a single CD player, but
That's okay.
There's
Still
so many
CD
things
player.
wrong with that comment. I mean, so you don't headbang to Creed.
Oh, stop.
You run as far as you can. I got to talk to your old. Listen, I bet your old man's got some Stevie Ray Vaughan, some Fabulous Thunderbirds. He's got some Texas roots music there. If he doesn't, then I will be making a trip to Belle Verde when I'm headed to Austin here in a few weeks to say, listen, bro, you got to get your girls into Stevie Ray Vaughan, Fabulous Thunderbirds, and I could go on and on. I mean, ZZ Top was created in Central Texas.
I think he did listen to ZZ.
There you go.
They have my dad and my mom have a bunch of vinyl records up in the attic that I like.
Damn.
Me and my sister bought them like one of the vinyl record players that also does like Bluetooth and stuff like that. And I think my dad used it for about 3 days, and then all the vinyl records went back up in the attic. So
Does your dad think he could outrun you if he's got this experience in the Porsche? Does he think he could run on a race car faster than you can?
No. So actually, my first skip barber that I did, my dad did it with me. And he was not named. He was just known around the entire track to all of the instructors as Dad or Pops. That was his name. He no longer had an actual name. And he said he actually got bored, that he couldn't focus, and he was terrified of turn 12 in a Miata at Road Atlanta. He couldn't go flat. He was like, I could never do it. Like, I couldn't focus. Like, I couldn't stay focused for a lap, less than an hour. And I was like, yeah, don't be a race car driver. You're done. So he tried it once. He did the racing school with me once, did not do it again.
Your sister is like your dad, driving style wise. Probably.
Yeah. My mom drives really fast and she likes to tailgate and she like brakes really late and she drives like a race car driver, but like she says that she doesn't. She says that she drives like a grandma, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Oh,
That's her.
What do you? What, me?
That's Crash.
Oh, I tailgate. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah, I tailgate.
you and your dad. What's your dad's name? Steve?
Scott.
Jim? Scott.
You just throwing out names, kidding?
Okay. Yeah. Listen,
Steve, Jim,
Scott introducing his girls to Creed at strike 1. Strike 2, and I heard you say that. Terrified of a Miata going into turn 12. That's 2. Okay.
But remember, he does drink Crown, so you should be happy about that.
Okay.
Yes.
Take away an X.
Okay, -1. Yeah.
All right. Take away a strike on that.
Do you like that we haven't talked any racing and the only racetrack stuff you've talked about is your dad can't go through turn 12 at Road Atlanta.
It's quite refreshing. It's quite refreshing.
Good.
Well,
Otherwise, it's always just like the same like 8 questions every single time.
How much camber did you have in your right rear? Yeah, come on.
Stat man, who was it? Was it Doug Williams when he was asked, how long have you been a black quarterback?
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Have you gotten one of those? How long have you been a woman driver?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like
For real?
the whole like female driver is never gonna go away. Like that's always what it's going to be. Never just gonna be like Taylor Hagler, race car driver. No, it's always gonna be female race car driver. I'm like, yes, I'm aware of my biology. Thank you.
Championships aside, you're still a female. Wow.
Oh,
Will always be.
Yep.
The stigma will never go away. The headlines will never go away.
I hate to say this, but you are perfect for Brian Herta.
Yeah.
We've known him for almost these 20 plus years. He has some of the same DNA that you have, which is just no bull and just says exactly what's on his mind.
Yeah. Ask Brian.
That's refreshing to us as interviewers. That's refreshing to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Next
Statman.
time you talk to Brian, ask him about the bet he had with Statman, and that's all you need. Just ask him that, and the big smile. He'll just ask you, "Where did you talk to Statman?" Just ask him about the bet he had with Statman.
I'm gonna see him in like 2 weeks, so I'm gonna
Remember,
ask
write
him
it down because it'll be a funny story. It has to do with it. When it's all over, his head is shaved.
This will be great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do the Hagglers do for Thanksgiving?
We get together, so like my mom's entire side of the family, when my parents moved to San Antonio, my mom's entire side followed her to San Antonio. So we just have like a big family get together and hope that it's not an entire crap show.
Is it barbecue or roast turkey?
It kind of depends. My dad has kind of decided that he wanted to start smoking a turkey.
Yeah.
I prefer deep fried personally.
Yeah.
Juicy,
Deep fried is like
juicy.
the way to go on a turkey. So my mom always bakes one, and my dad has started smoking them instead of deep frying them, which is a tragedy in Texas. Always deep fry your turkey.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
you
where the
do.
juices come from.
Yeah.
You talk about a crap show, though. Isn't every Thanksgiving and Christmas family dinner get together a crap show? And that's
Exactly,
part of
yeah.
the hilarity. It's
Mhm.
it's like I almost look forward to the crap shows of every holiday dinner now.
Pretty much. It's the only way to do it.
That's where
Otherwise
the
it gets
books are
boring.
written. Yeah.
You have some entertainment going on.
This is how bad it is for me. We go to Crasher's family.
Oh,
and
by
it-
the way, we're married.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you? There
we
you
go
are.
to
You're right.
Crasher's
Right there.
family for Thanksgiving, and they start their dinner
Oh.
at the kickoff of the Cowboys game.
And yeah,
Oh, that's fine.
yeah. Because we've always eaten around the 4:00 Eastern time hour, whatever. It's what we do in Indianapolis. The Colts were never good enough to play. They've never done a Thanksgiving Day game. Anyway,
Stop defending her, Crash.
Hey, it's my mama.
She's doing it to spite me.
Oh, of course.
I don't like the Cowboys, so I don't mind.
Oh,
she's all up in this. Yes, yes.
Oh, because you're a Texans fan? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Who are you a fan
I'm not
of?
a Texas football fan.
Who are you a fan of?
The Packers and the Vikings.
Whoa.
There's reasons behind both of them, though. So someone that went to my high school plays for the Vikings. Okay. And then someone that went to UTSA also played for the Vikings. And then my aunt is a longtime Packers fan, so that kind of just started that way. But I had two people that I went to school with that played for the Vikings, so I kind of like by association became fans.
Okay, well, I get that, but the Packers first, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Millennials are just killing.
I'm going for the Packers.
Yeah. Okay.
You millennials need to just freaking get with it. This is what's going on. How in the hell Statt, you're an Ohio State and a Michigan fan.
Stop.
It's like, no, you can't be a Packers and a Vikings fan. Taylor?
Well, the Vikings, didn't they play the Packers over the weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, like, if they play each other, I go for the Packers.
There
I
you
only go for the Vikings by association because I went to school. Well, Andrew Santejo went to my high school, and then David Morgan, I went to college with him. So, like, I kind of just, like, by association decided to.
When you have friends playing, that does make a difference.
Exactly. But if no one ever played with them, then, like, I wouldn't care about them.
Exactly. But Kenny brought something up. He said, okay, millennials are killing rivalries. I want to know something. It is the holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, what have you. Probably some people do it for Valentine's Day. I want your opinion on a meal or a side dish that used to be really, really, really good. Kenny's already shaking his head. And there's a lot of people that, okay, I'm not even going to bias it yet. What do you think about green bean casserole?
Oh, I love green bean casserole.
Yes.
Win for Kenny. Kenny.
Absolutely love it. My Aunt Becky makes like the best green bean casserole. Every time she makes it for Thanksgiving and Christmas, she makes like a separate dish of it specifically for me to take home. Yeah.
See, Kenny, millennials are not killing green bean casserole.
No, it's the Gen Zers.
Yes.
Us millennials aren't killing anything. It's the generation behind us.
There you go. You know what? There actually is more data on that anyway, considering our daughter can't stand green bean casserole. So there you go. Yeah.
Perfect.
She's 7 years old, Crash. We can't use her as a.
She's a Gen Z.
Oh. She's a Gen WTF.
She might actually be Gen Y.
I don't even know.
So many of them I can't keep up anymore.
Me neither.
Wow.
I thought I was Gen X.
So I think like 35 years old. I'm like right at the cap of it at 26, and then it goes all the way up to like 35.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
It's a massive generation.
Kenny's considered a baby boomer, but you're like the last year of baby boomers. I mean, I look at baby boomers, I think of World War II babies, and I'm like, that's not Kenny.
Jesus.
It's crazy.
Listen, I'm staying just hearing that your dad turned you on to Creed. I need to go wash off something.
Oh my God, help us.
I love Creed, actually. He only like got me on higher, and then I was like, okay, cool. So I kept listening to him, and I was like, yeah, With Arms Wide Open. That's a great song. Oh, I don't know.
All right, well.
What it is.
There you go.
All right.
You be you. It's all good.
I will say this: when you see Statt, Crash, or me at a racetrack, it's like, why is Taylor running from us? Hey, Katie, knock, knock, knock. Is Taylor in there? Nope.
I feel like it would be opposite. I feel like y'all would just end up running from me because, like, I would probably come up blaring Creed just because I know you don't like it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's even better. It's even better.
Yeah. Dog whistles has been discussed quite a bit over the last 2 or 3 years. That's my dog whistle. I run like a son of a bitch if I'm hearing Creed.
Oh, stop it.
I run, but yeah, Statt, that's my Niagara Falls moment.
Oh my God.
Hey, your head's not in Mississippi when you're listening to Creed. All right.
No, might as well be. Hey, here we go again. Taylor Hagler here in the Freak Nation, IMSA Challenge Champion in the Lucas Oil Studios. Taylor, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for putting up with us.
Do you mean that?
Thanks for putting up with me. Kind of.
Do you work for your parents?
I work for an aviation company that my dad co-owns,
Ah,
but he doesn't actually like come and work in the office. So
what a gig. He's out drinking Crown, listening to Creed.
probably he's actually probably out working on my house that I just bought a couple months ago.
Oh, yes. Put him to work. Yes. Good.
He complains that he's like bored. So I'm like, well, I have a bunch of stuff that needs to get done.
You bought a house at 25 years old?
Yeah, it's actually the second house that I've owned.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on, Statt?
Wow. I'm stunned. When I was 25, I was still trying to figure out how to write a check, much less buy a house.
Oh, I still like checks are kind of iffy with me. I still have to like really think about it, but they get done. No, like my first house, I was very fortunate that like my parents were able to help me out. So like they paid the down payment on it, and I just paid all of the bills. Wow. So then when I sold
nice.
that one, I was able to take that money to put a down payment on my new one, and then I just paid all the bills.
Oh, that's cool.
It is awesome.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
All right.
So if I would have never had their help, like I probably wouldn't be buying a house till I'm like 35.
You wouldn't be listening to Creed.
Oh, you're not going to let it
It's
go.
all Creed's fault.
Ah,
You're not.
Destroyed me as a millennial.
yep. Well, Taylor, thank you.
Thanks.
See.
That's a hashtag. Creed's fault. Hashtag blame it on Creed.